I never thought the sound of a phone buzzing could make my heart ache. But when my assistant said, "It's your mother," I froze. The name still glowed on the screen, Mom, as if the years of silence between us had never happened. I stared at it for a long second, the city skyline behind me flickering through the glass walls of my office. I was standing in heels that cost more than the hospital bill they once refused to pay. My silk blouse clung softly to my skin, the faint scent of jasmine rising as I exhaled. People outside the door thought I was composed, untouchable. Dr. Amelia Hart, founder of the Hope Revival Foundation, the woman who turned pain into purpose. They didn't see the scar hidden beneath my sleeve, or the memories it carried. The phone kept ringing. I should have let it go to voicemail. But curiosity, or maybe some remnant of love, made me swipe the screen. Amelia. Her voice trembled, the same way it used to when she was trying not to cry. "It's your brother. We need your help." For a moment, I couldn't speak. The air in my chest turned to glass. My brother. The Ivy League golden boy. The reason I almost didn't live long enough to have this office, this life, this heartbeat. "Of course you do," I whispered, half to her, half to myself. And just like that, the past I'd buried under success began to claw its way back. I was 19 when my body first began to betray me. It started with exhaustion, then bruises that wouldn't fade, then the quiet horror of a doctor saying words no teenager should ever hear: acute leukemia. I remember the sterile chill of the hospital room, the beeping machines, the way my mother's perfume, lavender and denial, filled the air. My father stood at the window, arms crossed, jaw tight, as the doctor explained my treatment plan. "It's expensive," he said flatly. How expensive? When the number came out, I saw my mother's hand tremble. My brother, Ethan, wasn't there. He was probably somewhere on his new campus tour, smiling for the future they were so proud to give him. That night, I overheard them talking in the kitchen. I dragged myself out of bed, too weak to stand fully straight, but needing to hear. "Robert," my mother whispered, "we can't afford both Amelia's treatment and Ethan's tuition." My father's voice was steady. "Ethan has a chance to be someone. She's already sick." It felt like the floor disappeared. I remember sliding down the wall, clutching the floor line, every heartbeat echoing betrayal. They chose him. They chose his dream over my life. I confronted them the next morning, voice trembling, eyes burning. "So that's it? I die quietly, so he can wear a Harvard sweatshirt." My mother cried. My father didn't even look up from his coffee. And that's when the nurse entered, Rosa. She was maybe in her 40s, soft eyes, the kind of woman who had seen too much suffering to waste words. She knelt beside me, pressing a small silver pendant into my palm, a tiny heart with the word "still." "Still breathe," she said. "Still fight. Even if no one stands with you." That pendant became my anchor. The next day, I signed myself out of the hospital against medical advice. My parents didn't stop me. I left with a duffel bag, $120 in cash, and a body that could barely carry me down the street. But I also left with something they didn't expect, a promise to myself. If I was going to die, it wouldn't be as their abandoned daughter. It would be as someone who's still. I learned that survival isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, like the sound of a clock ticking in a cheap motel room while you're trying to figure out how to live another day. I crashed at a halfway house near downtown Chicago, where no one asked too many questions. The walls smelled like disinfectant and hope. I got a job at a small diner, waiting tables between chemo sessions at a public hospital that accepted charity cases. The treatments were brutal: nausea, hair loss, bones aching like they'd forgotten their purpose, but I kept Rosa's pendant against my skin. Every time I thought I couldn't take another needle, I'd whisper to myself, "Still breathe. Still fight." One evening, after my shift, a customer left a business card instead of a tip. It belonged to a woman named Dr. Celeste Monroe, a biomedical researcher who had overheard me talking to another waitress about leukemia medications. She came back the next day, asked me to sit with her over coffee, and said, "You're too sharp to be here. What's your story?" For the first time, I told someone everything, without shame, without begging for pity. She listened, then said, "You've already survived the worst. Now, let's see what you can build." Celeste became my mentor. She helped me apply for a community college scholarship, then another and another. I studied biology during the day, worked at night, and slept in stolen hours. There were moments I wanted to give up, when medical bills piled up again, when my body felt like it was unraveling, but Celeste never let me. "You don't owe anyone an explanation for living," she told me once. I graduated top of my class, then earned a transfer to Northwestern University. By then, my health had stabilized. Experimental treatments, faith, and a stubborn refusal to die had somehow carried me through. From there, things moved fast. Research grants. A startup idea. Nights spent coding patient data software on an old laptop in my apartment kitchen. I learned how to pitch, how to negotiate, how to make investors listen to a woman who didn't have a last name that opened doors. By 28, I'd built Revive Data, a healthcare analytics company that helped hospitals identify underfunded treatment programs. It started as a mission to help people like me, and turned into a multi-million-dollar enterprise within 5 years. I never posted about it. My social media stayed quiet, generic. No one knew the truth except Celeste and a handful of trusted people. When the press finally covered our foundation's donation to leukemia research, I used my mother's maiden name. It was easier that way. Sometimes, I'd scroll through my brother's public updates, his smiling Ivy League photos, the job offers, the engagement announcement. They'd never reached out. Not once. But I didn't resent it anymore. Because every success I achieved wasn't revenge. It was resurrection. And I wanted them to see it only when it mattered most. When I finally saw them again, it was almost surreal, like characters stepping out of a dream I'd already rewritten. 2 days after that phone call, my parents walked into my office. The reception area was quiet, sleek, flooded with soft light reflecting off marble floors. Framed certificates lined the walls, medical research awards, global innovation grants, photos with patients who'd survived because of the foundation I'd built. I stood by the window, watching them hesitate at the entrance. My mother clutched her purse to her chest, eyes darting between the receptionist and the gold letters on the wall. The Hope Revival Foundation, founder, Dr. Amelia Hart. My father's once commanding posture had wilted. His hair was thinner, his shoulders smaller, his confidence gone. Ethan followed a few steps behind them. He looked just like he did in his college photos. Handsome, charming, but there was something different now. Exhaustion, maybe fear. When our eyes met, he looked away first. "Amelia," my mother said, her voice shaking. "It's been so long." 10 years. I replied evenly. But who's counting? They sat across from me in the glass conference room. My assistant brought coffee. No one touched it. My mother started to cry almost immediately. "We didn't know where you were. We thought you wanted nothing to do with us." I tilted my head. "You're half right." My father cleared his throat. "We need your help. Ethan's company, he invested in a startup, it collapsed. He's in serious debt. We're losing the house." There it was, the reason for the call. Not remorse. Not reconciliation. Need. I studied them quietly. The man who once called my illness an inconvenience now sat before me, asking for mercy. The woman who'd looked away when I begged for my life couldn't even meet my gaze. Ethan finally spoke. "I didn't know what they decided back then, Amelia. I swear, I didn't know they refused." "You didn't ask." I cut him off. "You just packed for Harvard." Silence. Thick, suffocating silence. I stood, walked to the window, and looked out over the skyline. You know what's funny? I used to imagine this moment all the time. What I'd say if you ever came back. Sometimes I wanted to scream. Sometimes I wanted to forgive you. Now, I just feel tired. I turned back toward them. "Do you even know what I do here?" My father blinked. "You're a doctor?" A faint smile tugged at my lips. "Among other things, I built this foundation. We fund treatment programs for patients whose families can't afford care. People like me, kids whose parents had other priorities." My mother covered her mouth, tears spilling over. Ethan looked stunned. "You did all this?" Yes, I said softly. Without your help. Without a dime from the family that let me walk out with nothing. The air went still. You could almost hear their guilt thudding against the polished glass walls. My father finally whispered, "We made mistakes." "Mistakes are forgetting birthdays," I said. "You made a choice." They sat in silence as I returned to my chair. For a long moment, I just looked at them, their regret, their confusion, their disbelief. Then I leaned forward, resting my hands on the table. "You came here for help. So let's talk about what that really means." And just like that, the balance shifted. The girl they once saw as disposable now held the power to decide their future. I took a slow breath, letting the silence stretch long enough for them to feel it, the weight of everything left unsaid. "Before I agree to anything," I said calmly, "I need you to understand something. I don't owe you. Not forgiveness, not money, not even this conversation." My father looked away, his knuckles tightening around his coffee cup. My mother sniffled quietly, twisting her wedding ring. Ethan's eyes flicked between us, like he was trying to piece together a version of the past that didn't make him the villain. "I'm not here to punish you," I continued. "But if I help, it'll be on my terms. No secrets. No lies." Ethan leaned forward, desperate. "I'll do anything. I need a second chance." I studied him for a moment, the golden boy who got everything I was denied. I saw his arrogance stripped away, replaced by something I never thought I'd see in his eyes: humility. "Then start by earning it," I said. "I'll cover your debt, but not as a handout. You'll work for the foundation. Entry level. You'll see what real need looks like, and what it means to fight for your life." He opened his mouth, maybe to protest, but stopped when he saw I wasn't bluffing. My gaze shifted to my parents. "As for you two, I want something different." My mother looked up, eyes red and pleading. "Anything, Amelia. Please." "I want honesty," I said. "Therapy. Both of you. You spent your lives pretending that pain was shameful, that love was conditional. I won't be part of that anymore. You want a relationship with me? You heal yourselves first." My father scoffed softly. "Therapy? That's non-negotiable," I interrupted. "And before you ask, no, I won't pay for it. Some debts you settle on your own." He fell silent again. I rose to my feet, smoothing the hem of my blazer. "I'll have my assistant draw up the agreement for Ethan's position. If you both go through therapy, maybe one day we'll talk about more. But not today." They stood awkwardly, unsure if they were dismissed or forgiven. Before they left, my mother reached out and touched my hand. Her fingers trembled. "We really thought we were doing the right thing back then," she whispered. "I know," I said gently, "but that doesn't make it right." She nodded, eyes glassy, and followed my father out. Ethan lingered at the door, his voice low. "I'll prove I can change." I gave him a small, tired smile. "Don't prove it to me. Prove it to yourself." When the door closed behind them, I sank into my chair, heart heavy but strangely light at the same time. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel small in their presence. I felt whole. 3 months later, Ethan showed up early to every shift at the foundation. He started as a junior project coordinator, processing applications from families begging for help, just like I once had. I watched him sit with mothers whose eyes mirrored the same desperate fear I remembered in my own. Slowly, I saw something shift in him. His arrogance softened into empathy. He began staying late, volunteering for the tough cases, speaking to patients directly. Sometimes, I'd pass his office door and hear him telling a father, "Your daughter deserves every chance to live." And I'd pause, letting those words linger, wondering if he realized he was finally saying what I needed to hear all those years ago. My parents started therapy, too. My mother wrote me letters every week, messy, tear-stained pages full of things she'd never said aloud. My father didn't write, but one afternoon he sent me a photo, him planting a tree in the backyard, a small plaque at its base that read, "Still breathe." I stared at it for a long time before realizing how deeply that simple gesture meant he'd finally remembered. For the first time in years, I went back to my hometown. The house looked smaller, The driveway cracked, but the ghosts didn't scare me anymore. I walked up to that tree, traced the letters on the plaque, and felt the cool metal of Rose's pendant against my collarbone. Her words echoed in my mind. Still breathe. Still fight. But now they meant something different. I wasn't fighting to survive anymore. I was living. Fully. As the wind moved through the branches, I whispered, "Thank you," to the nurse who once believed in a girl no one else did. That evening, standing beneath a sky washed in gold and lavender, I felt the weight of the past finally loosen. I thought about the girl I used to be, the one sitting in that hospital bed, trembling, scared, unwanted. And I wished I could tell her, "You'll make it. You'll build something beautiful out of their cruelty. You'll become someone they can't ignore." When I turned to leave, I caught my reflection in the window of my car. For a moment, I saw both versions of myself, the broken girl and the woman she became, finally standing side by side. I smiled softly. "They chose his dream," I said under my breath, "but I built my own miracle." And with that, I drove away, still breathing, still free. Bottom of form.